Chosen one, the voice of God is not always thunder and lightning. Sometimes it comes as a sacred whisper into your spirit, a subtle, unshakable knowing that stirs in the quiet hours. And right now, that whisper is clear. Protect your seed. This is not a suggestion. It is a directive from heaven, a sacred charge laid upon your shoulders, a spiritual responsibility entrusted to the few who are awake enough to hear it. You have been called, not just to survive this world, but to walk in a rare kind of dominion. And that dominion begins with the discipline of your body. Your semen is not merely a biological substance. It is your divine inheritance in liquid form. It is concentrated life force, designed not only to create physical offspring, but to fuel your spiritual ascension, your mental sharpness, your emotional resilience, and your divine presence. When God tells you to protect it, He is not speaking only of morality. He is speaking of power. He is asking you to guard the very core of what makes you capable of fulfilling your destiny. You must see your body not as something ordinary, but as a temple where God has chosen to reside. Every time you waste what is sacred, you desecrate that temple. You may not feel it immediately, but slowly, your clarity dulls, your strength leaks, and your vision fades. This is not punishment. It is spiritual law. God is not angry when you fall into patterns of release and indulgence, but He is grieved, not because He wants to control you, but because He knows what you're capable of when you're whole. He gave you the capacity to carry divine energy, to lead, to build, to speak life into others, to radiate presence in a room without saying a word. But none of that can thrive when your power is being bled out in silence, lost in shame, scattered into darkness through habits you've never questioned. That's why He is calling you now, not to make you perfect, but to make you aware. You are being summoned back to your throne, not the throne of your ego, but the throne of self-command. The throne where your actions are no longer dictated by urges, but by understanding. This calling to protect your semen is not a call to hide from pleasure. It is a call to transcend the need for it. It is a call to become the man whose fulfillment comes not from the outside, but from the deep internal river that flows when energy is kept and recycled into purpose. This is the month, chosen one, where you must take this directive seriously. You are no longer allowed to pretend you don't feel the cost of disobedience. You have heard the call, and now you must respond with your life. Not with words, not with emotion, but with embodied discipline. That discipline is your covenant. That restraint is your worship. That silence, that refusal to indulge, that sacred pause when your body calls and you choose to rise above it, that is where God meets you. That is where power returns. God is not asking you to reject your masculinity. He is asking you to honor it. And honoring it starts here, with your seed, with your choices, with your sacred fire. Chosen one, there is a river of fire flowing inside you. It is not seen with the eyes, but it is felt in every part of your being. That fire is your life force, and it is stored, concentrated, and expressed through your semen. The world has trained men to see it as something casual, something expendable, something to be spilled without thought or cost. But heaven sees differently. Heaven calls it sacred currency, a spiritual inheritance woven into your body, not to be traded for momentary thrill, but to be protected like treasure buried in a field. When you retain this power, it doesn't just sit idle. It rises, it circulates. It nourishes you from the inside out. Your eyes change, your posture shifts, your voice gains weight, your thoughts become sharper, your instincts more refined. This is not theory. This is the divine design of your body. You were never meant to live weak. You were never meant to feel empty. That emptiness you once knew was not because you lacked ambition or faith. It was because your reservoir had been drained. Again and again, without knowing that what you were giving away was the very essence you needed to build the life you dreamed of. And now, because you are awake, you feel it. You feel the slow rise of something ancient returning. Your spirit is no longer slouched in shame. It's beginning to stand tall, because every day you hold your seed, every moment you choose not to leak your power, your soul steps deeper into dominion. You begin to realize that God was not trying to punish you with restraint. He was preparing you for glory through it. This power that is growing inside you now, it is not just for you. It is for your future wife, your future children, your legacy, your mission. It is for the battles you haven't yet fought. It is for the people you haven't yet touched. It is for the visions that require a man with stamina, not just physically, but spiritually. You are being molded into that man now, not by force, but by choice. The choice to keep your energy, the choice to become whole, the choice to honor what the world laughs at, but God values. And with that choice, you begin to radiate something others cannot name but feel deeply. You will no longer need to convince anyone of your value. Your energy will do it for you. People will feel your presence and wonder why they feel safer, steadier, more seen around you. It is because you are no longer leaking. You are overflowing. Chosen one, you have been entrusted with something priceless. Do not sell it for the fleeting currency of lust. Let your body become a vault, not a drain. Let your heart become a flame, not a flicker. Let your life be the testimony that power, when stewarded in secret, becomes unshakable influence in public. This is the beginning of your return to divine strength. You are not losing freedom. You are claiming fullness, and that fullness will carry you to the mountains no man can climb unless he has learned to master what flows within him first. Chosen one, you are now walking in the terrain where most men fall. The first days may have felt like victory, as your mind tasted the rush of clarity and your body began to hold power again. But now the real test begins, not in the heat of the flesh, but in the sacred tension between desire and decision. Discipline is no longer a theory, it is a fire, and you are standing in the middle of it. You must understand that discipline is not about suppression. It is not the angry silencing of desire. It is the sacred reordering of it. The world has told you that discipline is resistance, but heaven reveals a deeper truth. Discipline is alignment. When you discipline your body, you are not punishing it. You are realigning it with the rhythm of divine order. You are saying, my life belongs to something greater than my cravings. My body will serve my vision, not sabotage it. This test will not come once. It will come many times. It will arrive on days when your spirit feels light and on nights when your hunger screams for comfort. It will show up when you are lonely, when you are exhausted, when you are bored. It will whisper to you when no one is watching. It will offer you logic, softness, even a sense of entitlement. You've been strong long enough, it will say. You deserve a moment of pleasure. But those words are not freedom. They are the voice of your lower self trying to drag you back to where God rescued you from. You must be vigilant. Not afraid, but vigilant. You are not at war with your body, but you are responsible for what you allow it to govern. You must wake each day with the quiet awareness that your discipline is not automatic. It is a choice. One you will have to make when your emotions are loud, when your memories are sharp, when the old versions of you rise from the dead and try to wear your face again. The good news is this. Every time you choose restraint, you don't just get stronger, you become more free. Every no to lust becomes a yes to your spirit. Every moment you hold your energy becomes a deposit into your future. Your will begins to mature. You stop reacting and start responding. You move from being a slave to your flesh to being a priest over your temple. Discipline is also not lonely, though it may feel like it. It is the quiet company of heaven walking beside you, whispering, "You're almost there. Don't settle now." The man you are becoming is worth more than the moment trying to seduce you. You begin to realize that discipline is not a straight line. It is a circle. You keep coming back to the same choice, not because you're failing, but because you're being forged. You are building something unshakable inside you, something eternal. You will find that the longer you remain disciplined, the less you even crave what once enslaved you. Your mind clears, your instincts become sharper. You begin to hunger not for pleasure, but for purpose. You begin to see how much power you wasted chasing shadows and how sacred it feels now to walk in the light. This is your test, chosen one. And passing it is not about proving anything to anyone. It is about becoming the man God intended when He first breathed into your lungs. A man not ruled by his urges, but governed by His call. A man who does not flinch in fire because he knows his roots are too deep to burn. So keep walking, keep choosing, keep aligning, because with each act of discipline you are not shrinking, you are becoming massive in the spirit. You are rising with quiet thunder. And soon, the world will feel the steps of a man who has learned to say no to the lesser things because he carries the weight of a higher destiny. Chosen one, it is time to return to the temple, not the building, not the place of worship made with hands, but the sanctuary you carry within your chest, your body. This vessel you walk in is not common. It is not random. It is the very structure God chose to house your mission, your calling, your authority, your essence. And your semen is the sacred oil within that temple. Every time you protect it, you are not simply practicing restraint. You are preserving the holiness of your being. You must see your body as God sees it, not as flesh to be ruled by pleasure, but as an altar where the divine and the natural meet. You are not a shell. You are a container for something eternal. And your energy, your life force, is the incense that burns on that altar. When you waste your seed, you are not just losing fluid, you are breaking covenant. You are offering sacred fire to things that cannot return your investment. You are letting the holy drip into the unclean. But now you are awake, you are aware. And awareness turns a man's body from a battlefield into a sanctuary. You begin to treat your eyes differently, because you know what enters them will echo in your spirit. You begin to treat your thoughts like gates, because not every desire deserves passage into your consciousness. You begin to treat your actions like rituals, because now you understand you are priest and temple in one. The sanctuary of your body must be guarded, not with paranoia, but with reverence. You no longer allow anything to touch you that is not aligned with heaven's blueprint for your life. That means conversations change, habits shift, environments must be evaluated. Because you know now, this is not just your body, it is a throne room, and what you allow into it will either attract angels or invite demons. The deeper you walk in this awareness, the more you begin to notice how much of the world is designed to profane the temple. Images, distractions, suggestions, jokes, so much is meant to normalize the desecration of your energy. But you are no longer asleep. You are no longer numb. You feel it when something is off. Your spirit flinches when your temple is threatened. And that flinch is not fear. It is the fire of God waking up inside you, warning you not to let the unholy into the holy. Chosen one, there is glory within you, but it must be guarded. There is strength within you, but it must be channeled. There is fire within you, but it must be stewarded. Every time you say no to the world's offerings, you are not being strict. You are being sacred. You are remembering that your body is not for consumption, it is for consecration. And what happens when a man truly honors his temple? Heaven begins to dwell there more fully. His intuition sharpens. His favor increases. His authority deepens. His presence becomes thick with something unexplainable. That's what's coming for you. Not because you are perfect, but because you are set apart. So walk with reverence. Let your hands be clean. Let your thoughts be holy. Let your semen remain protected. Not from shame, but from the sacred knowing that what God placed in you is not to be thrown to shadows, but poured only into purpose. This body is no longer a war zone. It is your sanctuary. And your sanctuary has become the dwelling place of strength, vision, and divine presence. Chosen one, when you begin to protect what is sacred, the fog starts to lift. You may not have realized it at first, but every time your essence was scattered, something else was dimmed. Your direction, your confidence, your ability to hear the voice of God clearly. Each act of careless release clouded your vision, blurred your inner compass, and disconnected you from the very clarity you were praying for. But now, because you've begun to guard what was never meant to be cheap, something holy is unfolding within you. Clarity. This clarity is not noise, it is not information. It is not the rush of emotion after a motivational speech. No, this is a slow, undeniable brightness rising in the core of your soul. This is the return of focus. This is when you wake up and know what must be done. This is when you look at the things that used to tempt you and no longer feel the same pull because your eyes are set on something greater. This clarity is a gift, but it only comes to those willing to pay its price. Restraint, reverence, and discipline. When your energy is no longer bleeding through your pores, your purpose begins to call louder. You start hearing it in conversations, in silence, in your breath. You notice how time slows when you're locked in alignment, how new ideas visit you in moments of stillness, how decisions that once confused you now unfold with elegant simplicity. This is the result of divine focus. And divine focus is the reward of a man who knows how to keep his fire contained until it's time to build something with it. You begin to see where you were compromising before, not just sexually, but spiritually. How you were giving your time to people who had no vision. How you were aligning your energy with distractions. How you were saying yes to things that had no place near a man destined for greatness. Now, your standards rise, not from arrogance, but from revelation. Because when you begin to see clearly, you begin to choose wisely. Your calendar changes, your inner circle tightens, your language evolves, your posture shifts. You move not with doubt, but with intention. Clarity also reveals who you are becoming, not who you were, not who others expect, but the man that heaven has been trying to wake up inside of you. A man with goals that don't vanish at the first sign of lust. A man whose hands are building, not begging. A man whose eyes are forward, not distracted. And the more you walk in that direction, the more peace you feel. Not comfort, peace. The kind that comes from knowing your actions now match your mission. The more you protect your semen, the more you realize that your sexual energy was never just about reproduction or pleasure. It was about vision. God placed that power within you to fuel your purpose, to awaken your boldness, to give your dreams fire. And every time you withheld it from waste, it became fuel for focus. You are not sacrificing pleasure. You are exchanging it for precision. So walk this month and every day forward as a man of clarity. Make your choices from a place of alignment. Let the whispers of God guide your movement. Let your yes be forged in stillness. Let your no come from certainty. You are no longer walking in circles. You are no longer wandering. You are moving with kingdom clarity. And from that clarity, your path will open, and your purpose will no longer be something you chase. It will become something you live. Chosen one, you are beginning to feel it now. Not as a theory, not as a concept, but as a force rising in your chest. This is the strength of continence. It is not aggression. It is not loudness. It is not performance. It is the slow, steady, undeniable weight of a man who no longer scatters his power but holds it, cultivates it, guards it like a lion at the gate. Continence is strength refined. It is the strength that doesn't need validation to feel real. It is the kind of strength that walks into a room and shifts the atmosphere without a word. This is what happens when a man decides he will no longer leak his seed into shadows, screens, or strangers. He begins to fill with power. Not explosive but rooted, not showy but supernatural. Your semen is not meant to be expelled thoughtlessly. It is a sacred concentration of your spiritual, emotional, and physical energy. Every time you keep it, you are choosing to let that power return to you, to circle through your veins, to ignite your thoughts, to strengthen your frame. You are beginning to notice it, the deeper voice, the calmer reactions, the heightened perception. That's not an illusion. That is the body remembering who it was always meant to be, a vessel of divine potency. And yet, continence is not just physical. It is mental. It is emotional. It is spiritual. It is the discipline to walk away from what feels good and run toward what makes you good. It is the refusal to allow the lower self to speak for the soul. It is learning to sit with discomfort without fleeing to the nearest pleasure. It is learning to alchemize the heat of desire into the flame of destiny. Because what you don't express outwardly becomes creative fire inwardly. You begin to build. You begin to lead. You begin to rise, not as a reaction to temptation, but as a son of God who knows what he carries. This strength does not come easy. It will break you first. It will humble you. It will force you to see the places where you used to escape instead of endure. But once it has broken you, it will rebuild you stronger. Your mind will no longer be a battleground. It will become a sanctuary. Your body will no longer be a battlefield. It will become a fortress. You will no longer live chasing relief. You will live walking in purpose. And soon, people around you will feel the shift. They won't know what to call it. Some will be drawn to you. Others may fear it. That's because continence produces presence, the kind of presence that confronts others with their own lack of discipline. But you don't have to speak about it. You are it. You walk with the weight of someone who chose silence over sin, stillness over noise, purpose over pleasure. Chosen one, do not let anyone convince you that continence is weakness. It is the rarest kind of strength, the kind that angels recognize, the kind that unlocks favor, the kind that builds kingdoms, the kind that can hold a family, a mission, a vision without collapsing. It is the kind of strength this generation desperately needs, and you are becoming it. This strength is not just for this month. It is for the life you are always meant to live. Keep protecting it. Keep building it. Because what you are carrying now is not just energy. It is the seed of destiny, and it is sacred. Chosen one, the world is beginning to feel you differently. Something has changed, not just in your behavior, but in your atmosphere. There is a shift in the way people respond to your silence, a weight in your gaze, an unspoken authority in your presence. You are no longer trying to impress. You are no longer reaching outward for affirmation. Because what you now carry is too sacred to broadcast. It is felt, not flaunted. This is the magnetism of a man who has learned the power of reserve. You don't need to chase anymore. You don't need to explain. You don't need to outshine. Because the very act of holding your energy has created an aura around you that cannot be faked. You are not radiating ego. You are radiating containment. And that containment makes others wonder what's hidden beneath your stillness. They lean in, even when they don't understand why. They trust you without logic. They respect you without words. Because your soul is no longer divided. Your energy is no longer leaking. You are no longer hungry in the way you used to be. You are full, and the world can feel it. That is the magnetism of reserve. There is something deeply spiritual about the man who holds back. Not out of fear, not out of repression, but out of reverence for his power. In a culture of excess, indulgence, and overexposure, your restraint becomes revolutionary. You become a living reminder of something ancient, something holy, something fierce in its quietness. You begin to carry the same kind of presence that prophets carried when they walked among men. A presence that says, I have access to power, but I do not waste it. That energy disrupts every room. It wakes people up. It makes women rethink what they're used to. It makes men question their assumptions. Not because you're trying to be anything, but because you're being everything you were born to be, without leaking it to prove a point. And yet, this magnetism is not about attention. You didn't build it for attraction. You built it for alignment. You built it in fire. Through fasting from lust, through saying no to release, through holding your sacred essence when every part of you wanted to escape into comfort. That process, those quiet refusals, those secret wars, those lonely nights, they forged this presence. And now you carry the light of a man who has chosen self-mastery over self-pleasure. Do not fear the eyes that now linger. Do not mistake them for validation. They are confirmation. Confirmation that you have begun to embody something that is not of this world, and you must steward it with wisdom, because magnetism without direction becomes manipulation. And that is not your path. You are not here to seduce. You are here to awaken, first yourself, and then the world around you. So walk with that awareness. Let your words be fewer, your actions be sharper, your gaze be deeper. Let your reserve be your signature. Let it speak louder than noise. Let it draw the right people and repel the wrong ones. Because the man who holds his seed is not just protecting his body. He is protecting his atmosphere. And the atmosphere you now carry is holy ground. You are not magnetic because you're perfect. You are magnetic because you are whole. Because you are no longer looking to the outside to complete what God already sealed inside you. That wholeness, that peace, that untouchable confidence, it is the reward of the chosen who have learned to protect what most throw away. And now, without saying a word, you walk like a man who remembers who he is. Chosen one, now that you've begun to taste the strength of reserve, it is time to go deeper. Because power without wisdom can destroy just as easily as it can build. You are now carrying something potent, spiritually, mentally, energetically. And God is not just asking you to guard it, He is asking you to understand it, to know why it matters, to see the value of what you're storing, not as a religious practice, not as a moral badge, but as a foundation for destiny. This is the chapter where your conservation becomes wise. You see now that energy is not infinite. Every decision costs you something. Every indulgence withdraws from your account. Every release that once felt harmless was draining you, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. But now, because you've chosen conservation, you have begun to feel the compounding interest of restraint. Your thoughts are sharper. Your creativity is stronger. Your decisions are clearer. You are no longer guessing, you are guided, not by impulse, but by the quiet voice of wisdom that lives in the place you once silenced with pleasure. This is wisdom, knowing not just what to do, but why you do it. Understanding that your semen is not disposable, it is a divine resource. It is the fuel for your voice, your work, your relationships, your leadership. And when you conserve it, when you hold it in honor, you are not living less, you are living more intentionally. You are investing in your future instead of spending your destiny on fleeting comfort. The man who understands conservation becomes a master of timing. He doesn't move because he's bored. He doesn't speak because he's triggered. He doesn't chase because he's lonely. He waits, he listens, he stores. And when the moment arrives, when destiny demands fire, he has it. Not because he was lucky, but because he saved it. That's the wisdom God wants you to carry now. The wisdom to know that everything in you is holy and nothing in you should be wasted. Not your time, not your thoughts, not your love, and especially not your life force. You are a steward of divine fire. That fire has the power to build nations or burn them down. Your conservation is the difference between chaos and creation. You are beginning to live differently now. You are slower to react, quicker to observe. You see temptation, and instead of fear, you feel discernment. You begin to ask, does this pull serve my calling? Does this moment align with who I'm becoming? Will this decision feed my future or starve it? These are not the questions of a boy. These are the questions of a man who has learned the wisdom of conservation. And when that wisdom lives in you, you become dangerous to the forces that once controlled you. Because now you don't just have power, you have discipline. You don't just have energy, you have direction. And you don't just have desire, you have discernment. You no longer move from pain, you move from purpose. You no longer give because you're needy, you give because you are overflowing. This wisdom must be protected. You must not return to small thinking just because the world is still asleep. You must not lower your frequency just to be understood by the crowd. You are no longer walking the wide path. You are walking the narrow road of kings, prophets, builders, and warriors. They were not perfect, but they were wise. And wisdom is the mark of the truly chosen. So walk with that wisdom, speak with it, plan with it, love with it. Let your conservation be the foundation for legacy. Because now you are not just holding your seed. You are holding divine responsibility and the wisdom to carry it well. Chosen one, you have traveled far through the wilderness of discipline. You've endured the fire of temptation, the silence of restraint, the refinement of clarity, and the burning forge of continence. And now, in the stillness that follows consistent obedience, you begin to encounter something that cannot be faked, borrowed, or rushed. Peace. This peace is not passive. It is not absence of struggle. It is the unmistakable presence of self-mastery. The steady, anchored awareness that you are no longer a servant to your urges, but a king over your inner domain. Self-mastery doesn't come with noise. It doesn't announce itself with fanfare or demand applause. It arrives quietly, like a sunrise, softening everything inside you. You begin to notice that you are no longer negotiating with yourself about your values. The voices that once pulled you in every direction now fall silent beneath the calm of your conviction. You know who you are. You know what you carry. And you no longer feel the need to explain yourself to people who cannot see what God is building in you. This peace is born in the secret hours. It is made when your flesh screams for release and you answer with stillness. It is shaped in the days you choose alignment over appetite, purpose over pleasure, legacy over lust. And now it begins to grow, not as a moment, but as a presence inside you. You walk slower, your decisions become cleaner. You no longer chase validation because you've remembered that God already validated you when He called you chosen. This is the peace of a man who has broken free from slavery. Not the slavery of chains, but the slavery of compulsions. You no longer need to run, you no longer need to numb. You are no longer reacting to your body like an outsider. You've become the master of it. And from that mastery comes a quiet confidence, not based in ego, but in identity. You are not afraid to be alone because your solitude is no longer empty. It is sacred. You are not panicked by silence because you no longer fear what you'll hear. Your mind is now your ally, not your tormentor. And yet this peace isn't just for you. It begins to radiate outward. People sense it in you. They trust you without understanding why. They lower their defenses around you. Women feel safe, men feel inspired, children feel steadied. Because when you've made peace within, you carry a frequency of authority that can't be manufactured. You are no longer someone who needs to lead. You simply are a leader. This self-mastery is not about perfection. It is about ownership. You no longer pretend that your weaknesses don't exist. You've just learned how to rule them. You no longer pretend that desires don't rise. You've just trained yourself not to bow to them. You've learned the sacred art of feeling deeply and acting wisely. You've learned how to pause, how to listen, how to respond. This is not suppression. This is governance.